Hey guys, my name is Jesse Navarro, founder of Cultivate Inbox, and I'm going to share a little bit of the story of how I got started in this business. In fact, I got started with email by sheer accident. I wrote sales copy for a long time, and then before that, I was a financial advisor for 10 years. And so as part of a financial advisor, one of the things was to be able to grow my practice and be able to grow and have more clients and assets under management. And so there was a guy that I saw here in my garage, Ty Lopez. I decided to pay him for his course, 6, 7 steps, and then I decided to join him and meet him. And one of the first things he advised me was, you should write a book. And that's the very first thing I did, was I wrote a book called 10 Questions Ask Your Financial Advisor Before You Hire Them. In fact, I was one of the first to publish it online and put it on through Facebook. And so I was wildly successful on Facebook, and I was very fortunate for that success. And so in part of that journey, I learned a lot about email marketing, a lot about sales, copywriting, the works, building funnels. And so I got a really crash course in how to build that. And so in part of that, a buddy of mine, Joshua Earp, he asked me, he's like, hey, he was an SEO expert. He said, you should help me build a course. And I said, sure. And so since I had some ClickFunnels experience and he was a good friend of mine, so we created a course using ClickFunnels. And that course became successful as well. And so we generated 6 figures in the very first year with his SEO course. And then I have a buddy of mine that I met through Ty Lopez, Sean Vossler, that I was writing sales copy for. He wanted me to write some emails. I said, sure, I could write some emails. And part of that journey, I was writing emails for consultant.com and Sam Ovens. And then I started writing some emails and content and sales letters for Ty Lopez as well. And so that kind of spiraled along as well. And then by that time, I was living in Seattle. I decided to move to Boise. And then I kind of let go of the financial practice I had, sold whatever I had in that part of the business. And so there was a period of time where just wasn't sure what to do. And so I started a bunch of different business ideas, wrote a bunch of video sales letters, wrote a bunch of case studies, and kind of found my niche along the way of affiliate marketing and email. I worked for ClickBank for a little bit as well. And a buddy of mine, Nick Fisher, said, hey, look, we have this email list from Jared Getz. Can you help us bring it back to life, revive it? I said, sure. And so that's something I've done before in the past, but I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. But it was kind of a test to see if it would work. And so he had his 300,000 person email list. And so I said, well, let's give it a try. And so utilizing some of the stuff I've done before with working with Pace Morby and Jamil Damji when I worked with Nick Fisher at New Rich Education. And so what we did was put together some joint ventures, also part of reviving the list as well. And I have a case study about how I revived that list, 300,000 person list. And so if you want to see that, it should be somewhere here. But what we ended up doing was I was able to revive that list and generate $10,000 a month recurring revenue from that list, just a dead list. He started 3 years ago, and just that was it. So that was kind of a cool thing. And so then I had another buddy of mine say, hey, can you do this with mine? I said, sure. And so it kind of grew as to kind of reviving lists as a kind of a little business. And so at some point I was kind of managing 3 or 4 or 5 different lists. Things are going pretty smoothly. And so what I've decided to do is, well, how about we just take what we're doing, and turn it into a company? And I decided to name it Cultivate Inbox. And the reason why I name it Cultivate Inbox is because inboxes or email, they're almost like garden. And so I remember my dad, he worked at the sugar factory for years. And one time he got laid off from his job, and so he couldn't find any other work, so he decided to start a garden. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, he wanted to start a garden. So I remember having him go in the back corner of our yard, and he basically prepped the entire yard, put up a fence, and then started planting vegetables. And I remember how he did that very carefully. How he prepped the land, and then he put the seeds, and he made sure everything was in place. And then weeds would come in, and he'd go through and pick the weeds. As the vegetables grew and they grew large, he would go through and take care of it. Again, pick all the weeds, make sure there's no animals in there, make sure there's no bugs in there, that the vegetables are growing and surviving. And so what he was doing is cultivating the land. And I felt emails were no different. So if you manage an email list, it's the same exact thing. It takes cultivation. There's little weeds and things, inactive part of the list that needs to get filtered out. There's systems in place and automations in place that need to be put. Make sure you're watering it every single day. And same with your list. Make sure your list is being taken care of and has some sort of love and watered every single day. So, and those things are very, very important. And so I decided to name the company Cultivate Inbox because I remember that one moment, and I kind of feel like emails are the same way. If you're managing a list or emails and managing an audience via email as well. And so it kind of morphed and transformed into that. And so right now we're primarily working with high ticket info product owners, and we're working with primarily just with emails, customer lifecycle, how to convert MQL to SQL, via email, and what does the customer lifecycle look like from start to finish. And so that's primarily kind of what built. And I'll tell you, it's been a journey for sure. There's a lot of things that I've learned in the process, a lot of mistakes we made in the management, and things as standard operating procedures we had to create and things we had to fix. It's been really kind of a fun journey and a learning experience as well. So we got things down pretty pat, and which is fun. So now we're kind of at a point we're optimizing the processes that we do here in the company. And so I want to get this down pat before I really get this thing scaling, but that's kind of where we're at. So anyways, that's a little bit about me and the kind of the story of the company. But if you want to learn more, we should have some information below. Again, you could check out the case study, number one. And number two, we have an assessment that you could also check out as well. And so you could find out if Cultivate Inbox is the right fit for you. So we have kind of just 5 questions really, that you'll be able to answer if we're going to be a right fit or not. And then if so, feel free to book a call. And I'd love to chat with you. And if you're managing a list, love to see how we can work together. But anyways, that's a quick origin story about us and how we came about. Thank you.